Amplify this. Here's another blast, a hand of the week, involving the false tell. At the Taj Mahal's Casino's $7,000 buy-in no-limit hold'em championship in Atlantic City in October 2000, it was one of 5 or 6 majors that year. The following hand came up. With the blinds at 100, 200, 3 players called the original bet, and from the small blind, I opted to call as well with pocket fours. With a flop of Queen of Hearts, 4 of Spades, Deuce of Diamonds, I checked with my nearly unbeatable hand. From there, it went check, big blind checked, check, check, and then Min, the master in the win, bet out 600. Now I quickly decided to use my best false tell as I raised it up to 1,200 more to go. A false tell is a manufactured motion, movement, or speech pattern, or simply the way you push your chips into the pot that sends a subtle signal to your opponents that you are strong when you are weak, or weak when you are strong. The best time to use a false tell would be during a key pot. A pot worth winning, a pot that you really want to manipulate others into. If you overuse the false tell, it will lead to people seeing your tells in a different light, thus rendering the tactic ineffective in the future. Now back to the action. With my extremely powerful hand, I was ready to pull out my best false tell in order to lure Min or the other players in the pot into paying me the most chips possible. About an hour earlier, I had made a nice sized bluff. And after I was called, I committed to memory all of the motions and looks that I had made during that bluff. Now, versus Min, I put my chips into the pot the same way. I talked in the same manner. I leaned back in my chair to the same extent. And finally, I looked right at Min, just as I had earlier when my bluff had been exposed. Min took the bait and called my $1,200 raise. The next card was the 6 of Spades for a board of Queen, 4, Deuce, 6. And I decided to bet the same percentage of the pot that I had bet during my last bluff. I bet out 2,500 again with all of the same mannerisms I had affected during my real bluff. Min called the $2,500, and I decided I would bet $4,000 on the end if a seemingly safe card came up. The 9 of Hearts that came up on the river looked to me like the safest card in the world, and I followed through with my plan of betting $4,000, all of my false tell mannerisms intact. I was now praying for a call from Min when I realized he was thinking of raising me. Finally, he merely called my $4,000 bet, and I confidently flipped up my trip fours, 3 of a kind, and waited for the pot to be pushed to me. After a few seconds, Min flipped up his hand, pocket 9s, which he had tripped up on the last card to take the pot from me. Although I lost this pot on the last card, I had controlled Min's plays through a series of well-executed false tells. If you don't have the false tell in your repertoire, I recommend you add it soon. When do you want to use a false tell? A, every time you bluff. B, in a key pot. C, half of the time you bluff. And D, when you have a powerful hand. A little quiz for you. I must tell the truth. I took my hat after he hit that 9. I threw it way up into the air, all the way to the ceiling at the Taj Mahal, which is 25 feet. Caught it, threw it up, caught it. I was so pissed off and so disgusted. Here I had used the false tell to perfection, gotten him to commit all that money when he only had 2 wins in the deck with a very weak hand, and he spiked the frickin' winner on me. Oh, that's the frustration in poker sometimes. I amplify. Do you?